Jim, what else is the president saying?
Well, President Trump changed his tone on the media today, at least for the moment, saying journalists should not be subjected to violent attacks after the mass shooting in Annapolis. That is a major shift for the president, who has repeatedly called the press the enemy of the people, despite concerns from journalists that his rhetoric creates a dangerous climate. For a president who routinely demonizes the media, it was a significant moment. One day after the mass shooting at the Capital Gazette newspaper in Annapolis.
This attack shocked the conscience of our nation and filled our hearts with grief. Journalists, like all Americans, should be free from the fear of being violently attacked while doing their job.
But as the president left the room, he would not specify whether this is only a pause in his battle against the press.
Mr. President, will you stop calling us the enemy of the people, sir?
Obviously, 56%.
Even White House counselor Kellyanne Conway, who is rarely rendered speechless, declined to answer the question from CNN's Abby Phillip.
Is it time for the president to stop calling journalists the enemy of the people? The president says... Thank you.
Look at all those fake newsers back there. Look at all. That's a lot.
It's a critical question for the White House, as the president has repeatedly labeled the press the enemy of the people from early on in his administration.
A few days ago, I called the fake news the enemy of the people, and they are. They are the enemy of the people.
To just this week.
You know, the enemy of the people, I call them.
As we found at his rally on Monday, his supporters are often swept up in the moment. There are seemingly endless examples of the president's preference for extreme rhetoric. From a tweet showing him body slamming a CNN reporter to his remarks during the campaign.
I'd like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
Mr. Trump has boasted there are no consequences for his actions.
I have the most loyal people. Did you ever see that? Where I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible.
Investigators have found no link between the gunman's actions in Annapolis and any of the rhetoric coming out of Washington. Still, Trump supporter Sean Hannity quickly blamed Democratic Congresswoman Maxine Waters.
I've been saying now for days that something horrible is going to happen because of the rhetoric. Really, Maxine, you want people to call your friends, get in their faces.
The renewed questions about the president's rhetoric comes as Mr. Trump appears to be searching for a replacement for Chief of Staff John Kelly. Sources tell CNN the president recently touched on the subject with Budget Director Mick Mulvaney over dinner this week. The president may have other staffing concerns to consider after aides patched through an apparent prank call to Air Force One earlier this week. That caller pretended to be New Jersey Democratic Senator Bob Menendez, who was recently cleared of corruption charges in federal court.
Congratulations. Great job. You went through a tough situation, and I don't think a very fair situation, but congratulations.
Obviously, my constituents are giving me a lot of beef about this immigration thing.
Let me just tell you, I want to be able to take care of the situation. I'd like to do the larger solution, and I think we could do a real immigration bill.
Now, CNN has learned staffers for Menendez say they were contacted by the White House yesterday asking about the call, apparently unaware that it was a prank. The White House is not commenting, as far as we know, in the last hour or so about how all of this developed. But Senator Menendez has released a statement saying, as someone who has spent my entire career, this is the senator here, trying to convince Republicans to join me in reforming our nation's broken immigration system, I welcome any opportunity to have a real conversation with the president on how to uphold the American values that have guided our family-based immigration policy for the last century. And Wolf, we should point out that call is also something that is sparking a statement just now from the White House. Actually, I should point out we're getting a statement just now from the White House on all of this. This is from a White House official. Apparently, this person did not want to be named. And the quote goes this way, Wolf. The president wants to be accessible to members and likes engaging them and wants them to have the opportunity to connect. The downside of that is that sometimes the channels are open too widely and mistakes like this happen. So, Wolf, a very interesting comment here from a White House official just in the last several minutes. They don't acknowledge mistakes over here very often at the White House, but they're apparently acknowledging one, and that a prank phone caller, a comedian, was able to talk to the president on Air Force One. Raises all kinds of security concerns. If somebody can pretend to be a senator or head of state and call the president on Air Force One, that's obviously something they can't let happen.
Yeah, this is a huge, huge embarrassment, but it's much more than that, Jim. As you correctly point out, it's a security problem that someone, a comedian, could pretend to be a United States senator and get a call with the president from Air Force One. They've got to fix this. I don't know what they're going to do, but clearly this was a major, major blunder with enormous security ramifications. Jim Acosta over at the White House. So thank you.